How's it going, everyone? This is Kevin. Today I want to bring you along with me to talk about a little bit of some phone cinematic lenses. So let's jump right into it. If you're a creator that shoots with your phone a lot, something that I would recommend looking into is possibly adding some of these kind of types of lenses to enhance a little bit the footage of your phone, since the lenses that it comes with aren't always the best. This is a lens by Sandmarc. It's an anamorphic lens that they sent me out to test out and just kind of give you my thoughts just to see how I liked it and create some content with it and just, see if it was good enough or if it, held up to the hype or not. They're not paying me or anything like that. They just simply sent me out this product as a full disclosure. That way you guys know, but I wanted to see how good it could hold being used for, my iPhone 12 Max Pro. I don't have any like the 13 or anything like that, but it's always nice to have something extra to be able to enhance the footage. So I wanted to give this a go. So for me, I went ahead and did a low light situation when it comes down to having lights outside. And then I also did one at my Tennis Academy having more of like a kind of sunset type of vibe, so you can see a little bit more in light and versus dark. That was the main thing for me that I wanted to test out, just to see how it would hold, because that's something that I want to know if I can go ahead and bring my phone for more little things and stuff like that, instead of having to bring out a full setup every time that I'm just walking around. And I can just bring this for a lighter setup to create some better content without worrying so much if the quality is going to be a little bit horrendous or not. Now, the cool thing about this anamorphic lens, it does show you a lot of those kind of like light kind of leaks that you see a lot in movies and everything like that. So that's something that this lens itself right about here is all about. I think it's a pretty cool little setup that you can have when it comes down to adding for your phone. But I do keep in mind that it is just a phone. It's not going to be as great as shooting with my actual camera when it comes down to low light situations. So I'm going to let you review some of the footage that I shot, and then I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons about using this lens and also iPhone photography. After reviewing the footage when it comes down to low light versus daylight, there's a big noticeable difference for my end when it comes down just to the quality of the video due to low light capabilities of an iPhone. Nothing really wrong with the lens itself because it doesn't really add anything when it comes down to the internal part, but it does add a little bit cool kind of light leaks when it comes down to it, especially when there's a lot of lights around. That's something that I really enjoyed whenever I was kind of shooting. That would be kind of cool, since I've never really shot with an anamorphic lens, and I thought it'd be really nice to just test out to see if it just would make my iPhone footage a little bit more cinematic feeling, due to iPhone footage looking so digitally, especially when it comes down to just the iPhone 12, because I know the 13 has a cinematic mode, but even then it still seems to me a little bit too, over digitalized, that it just bothers me, since you don't really have control of the f-stops to add a little bit more of that blur background and separation from your background to the subject. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes down to anything that you add to your phone. Now, I do agree that it really made it a little bit kind of softer to a certain degree, to make it just a little bit more not so everything in focus and kind of stuff like that. I did use the Filmic Pro app, which is basically this one. You can, I guess you can go to the settings and add a hardware to just convert the footage already into an anamorphic adapter. But I also used the Moment app and then did it in post, the, I guess, interpretation of the anamorphic when it came down to the low light one. So the low light one, I did the Moment app, and the daylight one, I used the Filmic Pro app, just to kind of see which one would be best and, you know, let you see a little bit of that comparison. But in all, I mean, both of them are pretty great. I did like more the Filmic app just because I kind of tested it out with just already in camera with the hardware to adapt it already, plus adding some of the stabilization that the Filmic Pro app can add so that it makes it a little bit smoother. I was able to use it with my Tennis Academy with a lot more motion and try to do a little bit of the sun behind the subjects to add a little bit more cinematic feel and try to see, you know, what I could create with this lens. Something that I truly did think was really cool is just being able to change it into the different, you know, lenses, but I mainly really just kept it at the normal one and then the telephoto one, because I think with the wide one it might be too wide, so I didn't even really bother with that. Plus in the low light situation I use the normal lens fully because it is the better lens when it comes down to the phone, and then the telephoto isn't as great still, it's not as bad, but I did use the telephoto only when it came down to the more daylight kind of type of video, so that way you can kind of see in both lenses how it would look. All in all, I do believe that it's a pretty decent lens when it comes down to adding to your phone. I do realistically know that it's not going to be the best out there because it is a phone, so the sensor size is very small, so that's a big con in my honest opinion. Another kind of con is that there's really no way to get that, you know, f-stop to be a little bit more for like a portrait style where it's more blurred using the phone itself, especially with those apps. I mean, you can kind of manually do the focus tracking with the Filmic Pro app, but even then it's not the most ideal. So that's something to keep in mind, that despite of it being a pretty decent lens, it's not really gonna give you that separation of cinematic feel, but it can help a little bit further than what just shooting with your phone would do. There are other types of lenses that you can add to your phone, but this is the one that I was able to test out that they sent me over, the anamorphic ones. And my goal was to try to use it with some low light with some lights, and then also for some sunset with some sunlight, and see if I can get some of those light leaks and everything in between. Which I can honestly say we succeeded to get some decent ones, and I thought it was pretty cool to test out. And if you're looking to shoot more with your phone, I would recommend to start looking into adding some of the, you know, phone lenses that you can add to your phone, just to add a little bit better quality, since there are a lot of different types of stuff that you can do. So that way, in case you're shooting with the main lens that is better, you can also get more telephoto with it without losing as much quality. That's something that I would recommend myself if I was to use my phone more often. I don't use my phone often enough to really invest into it, but if you're wanting to shoot more phone photography and videography, I would recommend you looking into these types of lenses. So that's something that I can recommend for you to look into, to, you know, to up your quality in a more efficient way without having to break the bank as much with, you know, the bigger full frame cameras, if that's what your budget allows. All in all, pretty cool device. I thought it was really fun to do. So hopefully you enjoyed the footage and, you know, enjoyed this little video. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.